1991 was one of the most iconic years in gaming history. The 16-bit era was at its peak, Sega and Nintendo were in full rivalry, arcades were packed, and home consoles were evolving faster than ever. This was the year we met Sonic the Hedgehog, Street Fighter II, and Zelda's greatest adventure yet. Developers began pushing technology and creativity to new heights, bringing cinematic stories, faster gameplay, and unforgettable music to millions of players worldwide. Let's rewind time to the golden year of gaming, 1991. I'm Seven, your game reviewer at GameFlex, where every game gets its flex. Today, we're revisiting the classics that made 1991 one of the most legendary years in video game history. 1. Sonic the Hedgehog. Released on the Sega Genesis, Sonic the Hedgehog brought speed and attitude like never before. From that first run through Green Hill Zone to the catchy soundtrack, Sonic made Sega cool and gave Mario a real rival. 2. Street Fighter II: The World Warrior. Originally launched in arcades and later hitting the Super Nintendo, Street Fighter II changed everything. It introduced combos, tight controls, and iconic characters like Ryu, Chun-Li, and Guile, the start of competitive gaming as we know it. 3. The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past. One of the most loved adventures on the Super Nintendo, A Link to the Past redefined what a Zelda game could be. 2 worlds, clever puzzles, and emotional storytelling made it an instant classic that still holds up decades later. 4. Final Fantasy IV. Launching on the Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy IV gave RPG fans a story with heart. With memorable characters like Cecil and Kain, emotional twists, and a soundtrack that hit deep, it proved games could tell cinematic stories. 5. Super Castlevania IV. A gothic masterpiece for the Super Nintendo, Super Castlevania IV delivered eerie visuals, incredible music, and precise gameplay. It was dark, atmospheric, and pushed the SNES to its limits. 6. Super Mario World. One of Nintendo's proudest moments on the Super Nintendo, Super Mario World introduced Yoshi, secret exits, and near-perfect controls. It's the game everyone remembers when they think of the 16-bit golden era. 7. F-Zero. Exclusive to the Super Nintendo, F-Zero stunned players with its speed and futuristic look. Using Mode 7 graphics, it made you feel like you were flying through neon cities at impossible speeds. 8. Lemmings. First appearing on the Amiga before spreading to other systems, Lemmings turned chaos into strategy. Guiding dozens of tiny creatures to safety required brains, patience, and sometimes a sense of humor when things went wrong. 9. Battletoads. Developed for the Nintendo Entertainment System, Battletoads was bright, fast, and brutally hard. It mixed wild creativity with humor, and that infamous speeder bike level still breaks players to this day. 10. Streets of Rage. Debuting on the Sega Genesis, Streets of Rage was all about co-op action, slick combat, and one of the best soundtracks in gaming history. It captured the energy of a late-night arcade in your living room. 11. Super Ghouls and Ghosts. On the Super Nintendo, Super Ghouls and Ghosts tested everyone's patience. Tough enemies, tight jumps, and brutal checkpoints made victory feel truly earned. One of Capcom's toughest and most rewarding games. 12. ActRaiser. Available on the Super Nintendo, ActRaiser was a mix of action and city building that nobody saw coming. You'd fight monsters one moment and guide civilization the next. Ambitious, creative, and unforgettable. 13. Wing Commander 2: Vengeance of the Kilrathi. For PC players, Wing Commander 2 felt like a blockbuster movie in space. With full voice acting and emotional storytelling, it showed how far narrative games could go even before 3D graphics took over. 14. Toe Jam and Earl. A funky co-op adventure exclusive to the Sega Genesis, Toe Jam and Earl was pure 90s creativity. Random levels, hip-hop beats, and alien humor made it one of Sega's most original hits. 15. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time. Hitting arcades first and later the Super Nintendo, Turtles in Time was peak co-op fun. Smooth combat, colorful levels, and that classic cowabunga energy made it a timeless favorite for friends everywhere. '16. Road Rash. Racing fans on the Sega Genesis got something completely new with Road Rash. It wasn't just about crossing the finish line, it was about surviving the chaos. Punching opponents, dodging traffic, and flying off bikes at full speed made it pure 90s adrenaline. 17. Spider-Man vs. the Kingpin. Exclusive to the Sega Genesis, this Spider-Man adventure finally captured the feeling of being the web slinger. Swinging through cities, fighting familiar villains, and that dramatic boss battle with Kingpin gave fans a taste of true superhero action. 18. King's Quest V, Absence Makes the Heart Go Yonder. On PC, King's Quest V was a fairy tale brought to life. With fully voiced dialogue and hand-painted art, it pulled players into a magical storybook world. It was charming, clever, and beautifully ahead of its time. 19. Out of This World, Another World. Available for Amiga, PC, and later the Super Nintendo, this game blurred the line between video game and animated film. Its fluid animation and mysterious story, told without a single word, made Out of This World unforgettable. 20. Fatal Fury, King of Fighters. Hitting arcades and the Neo Geo, Fatal Fury introduced dramatic storytelling and flashy visuals to fighting games. SNK gave players personality, flair, and style in a genre that was just finding its voice. '21. Super R-Type. For shooter fans on the Super Nintendo, Super R-Type delivered huge bosses, crisp visuals, and that perfect arcade tension. Every shot, every dodge, every explosion felt intense, a true test of skill. 22. Joe and Mac Caveman Ninja. Launching in arcades before jumping to the Super Nintendo, Joe and Mac brought Stone Age chaos to life. Colourful graphics, fun co-op action, and prehistoric humour made it a hit with friends everywhere. 23. Quackshot starring Donald Duck. On the Sega Genesis, Quackshot turned Donald Duck into an adventurous treasure hunter. Using plungers to swing and solve puzzles, it combined light-hearted Disney charm with clever gameplay. 24. Shadow Dancer, The Secret of Shinobi. This Sega Genesis sequel refined ninja action with smoother controls and smarter design, and the addition of a loyal dog partner gave Shadow Dancer a unique edge that fans still remember fondly. 25. Paperboy 2. Across Nintendo and 16-bit consoles, Paperboy 2 kept the simple fun of delivering newspapers while avoiding total chaos. From rogue dogs to angry neighbors, it turned everyday work into an action-packed job. 26. Ninja Gaiden 3, The Ancient Ship of Doom. Released on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Ninja Gaiden 3 pushed the NES to its limits. Fast, brutal, and beautifully animated, it demanded skill, patience, and perfect timing. Every mistake was costly, but mastering it felt incredible. 27. Ms. Pac-Man. Making her way to the Sega Genesis and other consoles, Ms. Pac-Man brought the beloved arcade experience home. Faster gameplay, smarter ghosts, and catchy tunes made it one of the most polished versions of a true classic. 28. Earth Defense Force. Players in the arcades faced alien invasion chaos with Earth Defense Force. Explosions filled the screen as ships unleashed waves of firepower. It was straightforward, fast, and exactly what arcade gamers loved: pure reflex and destruction. 29. Eye of the Beholder. On PC, Eye of the Beholder captured the spirit of Dungeons & Dragons with first-person exploration and challenging dungeons. Strategy, atmosphere, and old-school RPG charm made it unforgettable for tabletop fans. '30. James Pond 2, codename Robocod. Released on the Amiga and Sega Genesis, this quirky platformer turned a secret agent fish into a hero. Robocod mixed humor, tight controls, and creative level design, one of the most playful games of the era. '31. Last Resort. Available on the Neo Geo, Last Resort stood out for its stunning visuals and punishing difficulty. This side-scrolling shooter offered metallic worlds, huge bosses, and intense action, a masterpiece for hardcore arcade fans. 32. Wizardry, Bane of the Cosmic Forge. On PC, Wizardry returned with darker themes and a deeper story. It combined traditional RPG mechanics with better writing and atmosphere, keeping veterans hooked for hours. 33. Super Tennis. Exclusive to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, Super Tennis struck the perfect balance between realism and fun. Smooth animation and responsive controls made it one of the best sports games of the early 90s. 34. Gradius 3. When Gradius 3 hit the Super Nintendo, fans of space shooters got their dream come true. Bright backgrounds, fast-paced action, and that unmistakable Konami soundtrack made it unforgettable. 35. Darius Twin. Available on the Super Nintendo, Darius Twin stood out with its unique underwater setting and massive alien bosses. Its two-player mode and visual style made it a fan favorite among shooter lovers. 36. Bomberman 2. Gamers on the Nintendo Entertainment System discovered endless fun in Bomberman 2. Simple, addictive, and perfect for multiplayer battles, it became the ultimate party game of its time. 37. Tecmo Super Bowl. Released on the NES, Tecmo Super Bowl gave football fans something special. Real NFL teams, fast action, and simple controls made it the first sports game people truly obsessed over. 38. Alien Storm. On the Sega Genesis, Alien Storm mixed beat-em-up gameplay with sci-fi weirdness. It was like Ghostbusters on steroids, loud, flashy, and fun from start to finish. 39. Lagoon. Available on the Super Nintendo, Lagoon brought players into a colorful world of magic and monsters. It played like an action RPG with fast combat and a soundtrack that fit perfectly with its fantasy tone. 40. Turrican 2: The Final Fight. On the Amiga and PC, Turrican 2 set new standards for side-scrolling action. Massive levels, responsive shooting, and an incredible soundtrack made it one of Europe's proudest gaming exports. 41. Populous 2: Trials of the Olympian Gods. Released on PC and Amiga, Populous 2 let players act as gods commanding followers through ancient myth. Its creative gameplay and divine powers made it a strategy classic. 42. Powermonger. Also on the Amiga, Powermonger offered real-time strategy long before the genre became mainstream. Managing armies, resources, and diplomacy gave players a world that felt alive and unpredictable. 43. Space Quest 4, Roger Wilco and the Time Rippers. PC gamers loved Space Quest 4 for its humor and clever puzzles. Jumping through time and parodying other games, it proved that comedy could shine in adventure gaming. 44, Conquest of the Longbow, The Legend of Robin Hood. Available on PC, this adventure retold the story of Robin Hood with brains and heart. It was rich in choices, puzzles, and moral depth, one of Sierra's most thoughtful creations. 45, Martian Memorandum. For PC players, Martian Memorandum mixed detective noir with futuristic sci-fi. Gritty storytelling, full voice acting, and a strong mystery gave it a cinematic feel rare for its time. 46, Battle Isle. Strategy fans on PC got something special with Battle Isle. Turn-based combat, deep tactics, and clean visuals made it addictive, a quiet gem for thinkers and planners. 47, Asterix. Based on the famous French comic, Asterix came to the Sega Master System with charm and personality. It was colourful, funny, and perfectly captured the spirit of the original cartoon. 48, Bonanza Brothers. On the Sega Genesis, Bonanza Brothers turned burglary into comedy. Players sneaked through buildings, grabbed loot, and dodged guards in a clever, cartoon-style co-op adventure. 49, Columns 3, Revenge of Columns. The Sega Genesis got another addictive puzzle hit with Columns 3, faster, cleaner, and now with multiplayer duels, it was Sega's elegant answer to Tetris. 50-D-Force. Flying high on the Super Nintendo, D-Force stood out for its altitude shifting mechanic, letting players fight enemies above and below. It was creative, challenging, and uniquely satisfying. 51, El Viento. Available on the Sega Genesis, El Viento told the story of a magic-wielding heroine taking down mobsters and dark cults. Fast, stylish, and beautifully animated, it stood out as one of the most ambitious action games on the console. 52, Gremlins 2, The New Batch. Released on the Nintendo Entertainment System, Gremlins 2 was a surprisingly fun movie adaptation. Its clever level design, detailed sprites, and catchy soundtrack made it one of the better film-to-game conversions of the era. 53, Hammerin' Harry. This arcade brawler put players in the boots of a construction worker armed with a giant hammer. It was fast, funny, and full of that classic early 90s arcade energy that kept people pumping in quarters. 54, Hard Driving 2. Available in arcades and on PC, Hard Driving 2 improved its predecessor with sharper physics and new tracks. For many players, it was their first taste of realistic 3D driving simulation, way ahead of its time. 55, Kickle Cubicle. On the Nintendo Entertainment System, Kickle Cubicle combined puzzles and ice. Cute visuals hid its tricky logic-based gameplay, turning it into a surprisingly tough little gem. 56, Klax. Released across multiple consoles, Klax became Sega's answer to puzzle fever. Its tagline said it best: "It's the 90s and it's time for Klax." Fast, flashy, and incredibly addictive. 57, Magic Candle 2. PC players got a sprawling fantasy RPG with Magic Candle 2. Complex mechanics, party management, and detailed lore made it a deep experience for anyone who loved reading their way through games. 58, Rad Gravity. On the Nintendo Entertainment System, Rad Gravity delivered a mix of sci-fi, humor, and platforming. It wasn't the biggest hit, but its creative world design and quirky writing made it memorable for those who played it. 59, Bart Simpson's Escape from Camp Deadly. Fans of The Simpsons on Game Boy got this handheld adventure. It was simple and tough, but for kids in the early 90s, controlling Bart on the go felt amazing. '60, Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. The Game Gear version of this beloved Sega classic brought Mickey's magical journey to handhelds. It kept the charm, music, and tight platforming that made the original a Disney standout. '61, Crystal Warriors. Exclusive to the Sega Game Gear, Crystal Warriors offered turn-based strategy with colourful anime flair. It was a hidden gem for fans of tactical gameplay on the go. '62, Dragon Saber. Available in arcades, Dragon Saber was a fantasy shooter that let you ride dragons while raining fire on enemies. Fast-paced and gorgeous, it was pure arcade spectacle. '63, Dr. Franken. On Game Boy, Dr. Franken blended platforming and exploration in a darkly funny world. It had a spooky tone, but it was charming enough to appeal to everyone. '64, Godzilla. Released for the Game Boy, Godzilla turned the King of Monsters into a puzzle hero. Instead of destroying cities, players solved maze-like levels, a strange but creative twist. '65, Knights of the Round. In arcades, Knights of the Round let players step into Arthurian legend. With polished visuals and combo-driven combat, it became one of Capcom's best medieval beat-em-ups. '66, Parodia Star, a hilarious parody of Gradius Parodia Star, hit arcades with colourful chaos. Cute penguins, flying cats, and strange humour made it the most ridiculous shooter you could possibly love. '67, Rainbow Islands Extra. On the Sega Genesis, Rainbow Islands Extra expanded the original with new stages and features. It kept that cheerful style and rainbow shooting fun that players adored. '68, Ranma Half, Chugi Rambu Hen. This Japanese release for the Super Famicom was a one-on-one fighting game based on the popular anime. Colourful and fast, it was a fan favourite in Japan's growing fighting game scene. '69, Metal Stoker. Available for the PC Engine, Metal Stoker was a top-down shooter filled with explosions and slick visuals. It wasn't widely known, but those who played it considered it a hidden treasure. '70, Aggress, Mirairu Daisen Ryaku. On PC 98 computers in Japan, Aggress delivered deep, turn-based military strategy. It never left Japan, but it earned respect among hardcore strategy players for its complexity. '71, Aidoru Mahjong Final Romance. Released in arcades in Japan, this game mixed traditional mahjong with anime-styled storytelling. It reflected the playful mix of genres that was popular in early 90s Japan. '72, Beetlejuice. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, Beetlejuice captured the weird humor of the movie. Tricky levels and dark comedy made it a fun yet challenging tie-in. '73, Barbie. On the Nintendo Entertainment System, Barbie surprised everyone by being a well-made platformer for younger audiences. It stood out for its colourful graphics and gentle, creative gameplay. '74, Action 52, released on the NES. Action 52 promised 52 games in one cartridge, but delivered a collection so bad it became infamous. A true legend for all the wrong reasons. '75, Alpha Mission 2. On the Neo Geo, Alpha Mission 2 mixed fast shooting with ship customization. It wasn't the flashiest game, but its power-up system made it a smart, replayable arcade shooter. 76. Adventures of Lolo 3. Available on the Nintendo Entertainment System, this puzzle sequel refined everything from the earlier games. Simple controls and brilliant design made Lolo 3 both relaxing and addictive. 77. Acrobat Mission. This arcade shooter from UPL was smooth, elegant, and fun to play. It might not have been the biggest hit, but its visuals and pace made it a solid entry in the genre. 78. 64th Street. A detective story. In arcades, 64th Street followed two detectives cleaning up the city. It was a gritty, punch-heavy brawler that felt like a mix between Final Fight and Double Dragon. 79. Axelay. On the Super Nintendo, Axelay was a stunning shoot-'em-up with rotating perspectives and incredible effects. It showed just how powerful the SNES could be for visuals and sound. 80. Firehawk Thexter 2. On PC, this sequel improved on the original with smoother controls and better graphics. It was a solid step forward for fans of mech shooter action. 81. Magic John. Known in some regions as Totally Rad, this Famicom action game blended colourful levels and quirky humour with fun magic-based combat. 82. Mario Teaches Typing. Available on PC, this educational spin-off used Mario's charm to make learning typing fun. It was simple, but for schools and young players, it worked surprisingly well. 83. Secret of the Silver Blades. On PC, this Dungeons & Dragons title expanded the Gold Box series with deeper exploration and tactical combat. It was a must-play for RPG fans at the time. 84. Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This arcade shooter put players in the middle of the movie's chaos. With light guns and non-stop action, T2 became one of the most iconic tie-in games ever made. 85. Tiny Toon Adventures. On the Nintendo Entertainment System, Tiny Toon Adventures brought the cartoon to life. Bright colors, great music, and fun platforming made it one of Konami's best family titles. 86. Ultima 7 The Black Gate. Developed for PC, this ambitious RPG pushed boundaries in world building and storytelling. It offered freedom, detail, and a living world unlike anything players had seen before. 87. Dragon Warrior 3 Remake. Released on the Game Boy in Japan, this remake brought a beloved classic to handheld form. It was faithful to the original while adding quality of life upgrades. 88. Dragon's Lair 2 Time Warp. In arcades, Dragon's Lair 2 delivered stunning animation and cinematic storytelling. It was tough, but it looked so good that players kept coming back. 89. Godzilla 2 War of the Monsters. For the Nintendo Entertainment System, this was more of a strategy game than an action one. Players defended Japan from kaiju attacks, a slow but surprisingly thoughtful experience. 90. F-15 Strike Eagle 2. On PC, F-15 Strike Eagle 2 gave players control of modern jet combat. Realistic mechanics and military authenticity made it a standout flight simulator. 91. Formula 1 Built to Win. Released on the NES, this racer let players upgrade cars and travel the world. It was fast, fun, and one of the most complete racing experiences on an 8-bit console. 92. Ishido, The Way of Stones. Available on the Game Boy, Ishido was a relaxing, meditative puzzle game about matching symbols. Simple and elegant. It felt like digital zen. 93. Laser Invasion. On the NES, Laser Invasion mixed flying, shooting, and first-person action. It was an ambitious blend of genres that worked surprisingly well. 94. Operation C. For the Game Boy, Operation C shrunk Contra down to pocket size. Fast, intense, and beautifully made. It proved handheld action could feel just as epic as the console versions. 95. Pang, known as Buster Brothers in some regions, Pang hit the arcades with pure addictive gameplay, pop every bouncing bubble, simple, timeless, and still fun today. 96. Puyo Puyo. Released first in Japanese arcades, Puyo Puyo became one of the most beloved puzzle games ever made. Cute visuals and deep strategy made it an instant hit across generations. 97. Kick. On the Game Boy, kicks challenged players to capture space while avoiding enemies. It was minimalistic, but deeply addictive. Proof that less can be more. 98. Back to the Future Part 3. Available on multiple platforms, this movie tie-in tried to mix shooting and platforming. It wasn't perfect, but it delivered a nostalgic Wild West vibe for fans of the trilogy. 99. Kid Icarus of Myths and Monsters. Released for the Game Boy, this sequel to the NES classic brought new levels, bosses, and smoother controls. It kept the heart of the original, but felt fresh and refined. 100. The Chessmaster. On the Super Nintendo, the Chessmaster gave players a digital rival that could actually outthink them. Elegant, quiet, and endlessly replayable, it brought classic strategy into the living room. And that's it for 1991, a year packed with legends. From Sonic to Street Fighter, from Mario to Zelda, these games didn't just entertain us, they built the foundation of everything we play today. If you enjoy reliving these classics, don't forget to subscribe to GameFlex and hit the bell, because next up, we're jumping into 1992, another incredible year in gaming history. May the Force be with you.